Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Woolly Thistle Shopcast. I'm Corinne, your host and owner of the Woolly Thistle, and here with Maggie, our co-host, and product development management and all the other stuff as well. Everything. You do quite a lot.
I do.
Your job keeps changing.
It does.
But that's good, right?
Yeah, I'm not even sure that the title that I have is actually like, it doesn't feel like the thing.
I know.
But that's okay.
Yes, we'll work on that.
There's plenty for me to do.
Yeah, there's not a lack of work to go around, is there? Gosh, no. So anyway, welcome to episode 200 and something. 204, it says. That's amazing. So thank you for being here. We know that you could be watching so many other podcasts. So thank you.
And you probably are. I feel like there's been a massive influx of new podcasts. Every time I open YouTube,
it's true. All these new ones. But shout out to Christopher.
Flannels and Pearls,
at the table. He's killing it. It's amazing, fun to watch, and he's a great knitter. So that's fabulous.
And a new spinner.
And oh my God, so good, so good. Really nice spinning. All right, so knitting. I mean, his knitting is crazy too. That he does a lot of cables and a lot of texture, and go check him out. We'll put him in the show notes down below. So, but thank you for being here. And if this is your first time, you are so welcome. If this is not your first time, you too are welcome. And thank you for coming back. Really appreciate it. And Maggie, it's been a couple of weeks. What's new with you?
Well, we just here in the States had Labor Day weekend, so we had a nice long weekend.
We did.
It was really
nice. Hot. It's still hot.
I loved it.
I did not.
I've been saying that I wanted one more super hot,
you're getting
very uncomfortable week, and I'm getting it. This is the week.
It's going to be in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like 8:30 in the morning here on Tuesday after Labor Day, and I just ran out to my car to get something, and I am all sticky.
Yeah, it's like humid and gross. It's
90,
perfect.
over 90.
Exactly what I need to get me ready for fall. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, I need one more to be like, oh yeah, this is why I'm ready for fall and winter.
No, I am just ready. I am just ready. I don't need this. I don't need the extra motivation.
I do. I need one more. Especially we had such a gray and rainy summer.
It was not a good summer. It was a very Scottish summer, but warmer. So humidity and warmth.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah.
So now we're getting summer. Mm-hmm. But it feels very humid. It does feel humid. Close, as we would say back home. Well, good. I'm glad you're getting what you want.
I enjoyed we spent as much time outside as we could this weekend. We went for a really long bike ride. That was really nice. And FaceTimed with my kids who are at college, and that was super lovely. I really needed to see their faces. And it was so nice to FaceTime.
And that they're doing okay.
They're doing okay. They're doing really well. So it's all good. And then
good for you.
Irene and I have still been playing tennis a little bit.
You've not gone to pickleball?
We've not. No, I'm pickleball curious. I think her and I would both really like it. Yeah. But we already have tennis rackets and we have the tennis courts. And we're just
do that.
So we're getting better at just hitting the ball to each other. Yeah. So it's good.
Good for you. Well, lovely. I had a very hot weather weekend, so I didn't do a whole lot. I went outside. I did go outside, but I was quickly rushed back inside because of all the bugs and the mosquitoes. Yeah. But I did go out to my garden, which is overgrown, because we had so much rain and so many mosquitoes all summer. I really didn't get out there that much, but I did plant potatoes, and I started rooting around, and I got a lovely big harvest of potatoes, and I didn't think they'd come this early. I don't know, I need to go check. But anyway, I have potatoes, and so I roasted them. So on this very hot weekend, I turned the oven up to like 450, which is not, that's not the thing to do. But anyway,
do you have an air fryer?
No, I don't.
I was going to say you could stick them in the air fryer. Then you don't heat up the whole house.
Yeah. Well, I did it because these are my first ever potatoes that I've grown, and they were so good. And there was massive worms and everything in the dirt. So I know that, it was all very healthy down there. So there's still more down there. I need to go back, but I got chased in by the mozzies. So, yeah. But anyway, that was probably one of the highlights of my weekend, was getting my potatoes out of the ground. My onions didn't do very well, though. They're still very neat. So, anyway, I'm just playing at it.
Not a gardener.
I never was either, but, you know,
my father was an amazing gardener.
Really?
He would just, like, look at things and they would grow.
Yeah.
I never had, like, I look at things and they die.
Yeah, no, I'm trying.
And our yard is very shady.
Yeah.
And the soil is really acidic. And so it's just not.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, the whole amending of soil feels like science, and I'm not really into science, so I'm more of an art than a science person. So anyway, I'm trying. My potatoes.
Hey, you got potatoes.
My potatoes worked.
There
yes.
you go.
All right. So what do we have on the show today?
We have a very full show, so you and I need to be
We're talking a little bit faster.
So we have Caitlin is here.
Yes.
She's going to be sharing her cowl, her sweater cowl,
which is lovely.
Project, which is so pretty.
Yep.
I need to slow myself down a little bit. So Caitlin is here. Rachel's going to check in from Fair Isle.
Yay.
And we also have a really special interview. You sat down with Julie from Black Isle Yarns.
I did.
And we have that interview for you today.
And we'll have that right at the end. So you got to watch to get to Julie. And Julie is delightful. She lives on the Black Isle. She actually lives in the town that my granddad lived in. And so I know where she is very, very much. It's a little town called Fortrose. It's what the flowers of Fortrose is named after. Anyway, Black Isle Yarns is based there. And I've known Julie for years now, and so it was really great to sit down with her and hear about how, you know, her business started and what she loves to focus on, and it's very special what she's doing. So excited for that.
Nice.
And of course, Rachel will be sending in a postcard from Fair Isle, which we all love, which I'm looking forward to seeing too. Do you want to announce a winner? And then we'll look at what we've been working on. And
last Shopcast, we got so chatty again. We missed a winner, so... We have 3 winners. So this is prize winner 2 from what should have been the last episode. And the winner there is Alana Besson 2661.
Hooray!
Yay! And they say, I love watching you both squeeze and smell all the skeins of yarn. And you both look so cute with your new Woolly Thistle t-shirts. Thank you. Here I am wearing it again today.
Good for you. Represent.
So Alana Besson, if you can email us at info@thewoollythistle.com.
Yep.
Put prize winner in all caps. We will get you your $25 gift card to the shop. If you would like to be eligible to win a prize, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. You can tell us just anything.
Yep.
I'm a little curious as to what podcasts you're watching.
Yes, so, we want to know. We've been trying to figure out, you know, who's watching what and what's the latest thing to be watching.
Yeah,
so that
there's so many right now.
There's so many.
So it's just really good.
Yeah, so if you want to be in the running, do all that. And if we remember, we will draw a winner. And if we don't, we do it the next time. So we definitely try to stay.
There are 2 more to go. We'll try to stay on task.
Yes, exactly.
So I think so we are in the midst of our sweater cowl. It started a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks. Well, a week or maybe a week ago. I think it was last Friday, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It was
either way. By the time you're watching this, it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I think yours is more exciting than mine at this point. So if you don't mind, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll show mine because it's very, you know, kind of simple.
Oh, it's lovely.
It is lovely. Oh, and I'm mid-row. Wow.
Oh, that is unprofessional podcasting right there.
Wow, what happened there?
So this looks really great in the ball, but knitted up.
I'm going to stick these.
Knitted up, which you'll see in a minute. It
Don't
looks
mind me.
a lovely warm gray.
It is.
Almost
it's a lovely
beige.
warm gray. It's really squishy.
So what is this? Tell them.
So this is WoolDreamers Mota.
Yeah.
Which is a DK weight, but there's some flexibility there. Like this pattern called for worsted weight yarn.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It is. So I'm making good progress. I'm knitting the Building Blocks cardigan from Aimee Sher. And it's bottom up.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, it is really nice.
That's not boring at all.
I think I have like 2 inches left to go before I start doing something else.
This feels so good.
It really does. It feels really, really nice. I'm really happy with the
Julie's gonna love it.
Squish. She is. She actually, we FaceTimed the other day and she's like, so when do you think it'll be done? She's like, I'm just wondering. And I'm like, all right, yeah, you. So the goal is by the end of the cowl.
Now you're knitting this back and forth, correct?
So yes, I'm knitting it flat, and everybody marvel at the evenness of my stitches.
I was just going to ask you, how's that going?
So it is. I feel like it's going really well. I have been doing the Norwegian purl this whole time. Ooh. That is a lot of Norwegian purling.
Wow. It is absolutely gorgeous to the hand.
Yeah, I feel like too, I am getting pretty even stitches. So I'm pretty
it looks good to me, for sure. Not that it didn't
especially
before.
Looking on the back side is where I can usually see if things are rowing out. And I think you can see.
Yeah, nice and
like,
even.
The yarn is kind of nubby, but it's really lovely. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, you should be. And even, you know, your rib is lovely and even too. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it was funny. Caitlin called me out because I was ready to be done with the ribbing, and she's like, "I thought you liked ribbing." I'm like, "I do, but I was so done with this ribbing." Don't know why. I love a really long ribbing, so it was worth doing. But
and it's done now. Oh, and we've got the guy out cutting the grass outside. Sorry about that. So, well
he
done.
He won't listen to us if we tell him to go away.
No. So for my sweater, I am knitting Kate Davies's, I'm going to call it in English, Tìoraidh, which is how we say goodbye. Okay. But it is the Gaelic version, which I cannot say. And I'm going a little bit rogue with the colors. Hers is blue and grey.
And this pattern is from her book Allover.
Allover. So we'll put a picture of that here. And this is where I am. I'm mixing it up. I'm not sure yet that I love it. I'm going to keep going though. So it starts out with, this is knitted in Jamieson Smith, and it's brown with, I think FC50. And then I changed to a very dark purple behind with a pink. And then I changed to this sort of orangey brown, and then with FC6.
I think it's really pretty.
Do you like it?
Yeah, you're doing something different than I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to keep the same main color, but you switched it up.
I am switching it up, and it reminds me of the tapestry cowl that I designed, where I did the similar idea of changing up the colors behind the motif offset. So I've only got one row of the brown behind, and then I've got two here, but the front colors change, and then I'll have two here, but the front colors change. So yeah. It is so potato chippy.
Are you gonna use different colors, or are you gonna rotate through those?
I think I'm going to get lighter and lighter in the background as I go up. So I think there's about 10 rows, and I'm already on number 5. So
nice.
Yeah. So I think I'm sort of about here. Yeah, and it's knitted in the round with a steek.
How long a sweater is it?
Not long. You know, I think it'll hit above my hip bone.
Would you like a slightly cropped fit?
Yeah. So, but I could make it longer. I mean, I'm not doing any body shaping.
Right.
So anyway, it's knitted in the round, and it's very...
You can see the steek.
Yeah, you can see the steek. Where? There.
Right there.
Which is fun to do. And the pattern itself, I don't even need now. It's just well, actually, I think it's a 9-stitch repeat. I don't remember. But I can look at it and know what I need to do. So very quick knitting.
Oh, that's good.
Very potato chippy, enjoyable. I'm slowed down a little bit because I wasn't sure of the direction I was going with the colors, but I think I'm going to stick with it because it's getting nice and warm and hot kind of colors. And then I think I'll lighten up as I go. And maybe the motif colors will get darker.
Nice.
So it's sort of that gradient going in different directions. Maybe we'll see. I still need to knit 2 sleeves. This is bottom up also, which Kate Davies typically does, which doesn't bother me. I took the needles out and I tried it on, and it fits. It's actually quite generous. So that's what I'm knitting on. I have some other knitting, but I'm not ready to show it. It's designy a little bit. So yeah, that's everything I have right now.
Wonderful. Let's go to Caitlin.
Yeah. See what she's knitting.
Yeah, see what she's knitting for the cowl. She's making excellent progress.
Yes.
She did start a little early.
But she's not in the running for prizes.
We're not in the running for prizes. I know. I cast on 2 days before too, because I was not going to be.
I did not
eligible for prizes.
I cast on when I was supposed to.
Well, because I knew cast on day was college drop off day, so I was like, I am casting on early.
I like your you know, you're getting ahead of it instead of I could do it tomorrow. That's much better.
Right.
Yeah. So all right. Let's go to Caitlin, and we'll see you after that.
Hi everyone, nice to be with you again. I'm Caitlin, I'm part of the Woolly Thistle team, and I work remotely from Indianapolis, so coming to you from there. I have some things to share with you today about my sweater project for the sweater knit along going on right now. plus my next sweater plans, which may or may not happen during the KAL. I have what I'm wearing to show you, my almost finished object, plus another project that has a little bit of an update in the shop. First, I wanted to remember to tell you about something you might not know, and that is about our Shopcasts. Our every 2 weeks a Shopcast comes out, and not only does it live on our YouTube channel with the show notes in the box below the video, but we also at the same time create a blog post on our website where you can actually view the video right from there. If you want to comment, you'll have to go over to the YouTube channel, but we also put the show notes there. And what's nice about that is that it's much more searchable than the show notes are from YouTube. I don't know if you can search those unless you copy them into a Google Doc, which you wouldn't want to have to do. And then we also, because we link to our products within our show notes, you can also see kind of right from the blog post, a box of several products in the shop. And then you can go right to other pages on our website from there. So if you're trying to remember, sometimes we get questions like, I know it was a little while ago that somebody showed this sweater, this shawl, or talked about this yarn. We try to be good about our show notes being pretty thorough. And so if you search just on our main website, in the search box, something like Mota, or when I knit the Ilha sweater and talked about that, you can just type in that word and it will bring up links to the Shopcast episodes that those were mentioned in. So just wanted to share that little tidbit. It's kind of a nice, helpful tool if you're trying to search for something in our Shopcasts. So let me show you what I'm wearing. This is something that I talked about recently on the Shopcast and finally finished. Almost. This is the Argil tee by Clare Lakewood, and I made it in Saona, which is a new wool cotton blend yarn from WoolDreamers. It's maybe blowing out just a little bit. There we go. Now you can see it a little better. So this is a tank, which had a really interesting construction. It's got this tie at the bottom and kind of a different stripe on the back, just these tank stripe straps. And yeah, I say almost finished because I do have to still, now that I've blacked it, I have to go and pick up stitches and then bind them off right away around all of the openings. Just to make that kind of final finished look. But I wanted to show you because it's already almost not the season to wear it. I think it will be pretty wearable this fall with a sweater. Yeah, that was a fun project I worked on this summer. I admitted last time on the Shopcast that it was a little slow going. I think knitting on the front and purling on the back, and that it's fingering weight yarn, and the construction was a little bit it was fun, but also just hard to like try on as you go and see how it was going to come together. Yeah, it wasn't like the sit down and can't put it down once you start kind of project as much, but I do love how it turned out. I love the yarn, especially. It's such a lovely feeling to the yarn that I'm excited to get it on my needles again for another project. I think it is woolly enough that I will tend to use it more for like the fall and spring projects rather than middle of summer like this one. I do hope to still get some wear out of this one, especially under other things, but learning more and more that any sort of wool content is going to lead me more towards wanting to wear these things not in the heat of summer. I'm outside enough and Indianapolis is warm enough that I need no wool in the middle of the summer, I think. But live and learn, and still really happy with how this turned out. So I want to show you my sweater knit along project. I actually have two because I really couldn't decide. I don't know about you, but I had such a hard time deciding what to knit for this knit along. I was super inspired and just finding, exciting new things left and right. We released a whole bunch of kits in the shop just as the knit along was getting going, and I had too many options. It was a good problem to have. But so I've decided on 2 projects for the knit along. The first one, I actually started a little early, so that's why I'm as far as I am. This is the Spark Cardi by Andrea Mowry, and I'm using WoolDreamers Mota plus my handspun. So Mota is in the natural color, and that's the main color. And my handspun was that skein I showed you on the last episode that I made this summer. It's a 3-ply variegated out of 3 different braids of fiber from Three Waters Farm. And so I started on this one on the cuff and knit up, and you can see how that yarn just kind of changes color. That's just the most fun thing to me. And then started on the second one, and I love how they're a little bit different. That's just how the yarn is going to act. And yeah, these are the sleeves. The fabric's feeling really good. It's been super quick. I tried something new on the sleeves. In this section of color work where the floats were kind of long, I was on double pointed needles and finding that I was worried it was going to be bubbly, especially here. I think the ribbing is still influencing some of that bubble too. I just wanted to make sure it was going to be smooth, and especially on double points over those joins, or like when you jump from one needle to the next, I was afraid the floats were going to be too tight. So what I did is I knit the cuff, the ribbing, all the way up to here, and then I flipped it inside out. And then I knit the part of the color work with the long floats inside out. Except the cool thing is that you don't have to knit on the wrong side. You actually just knit with the tube of the cuff in front of you rather than behind you. So I was still looking at the front side of the knitting, but with like I was knitting from the inside of the tube and going around, if that makes sense. It's a little hard to imagine, maybe just from me explaining it, but once you do it, it works great, because then you're knitting on the inside, which is a little bit tighter circumference than the outside of the tube, which is where you're carrying your floats around. And so they have a little bit further to travel between DPNs, and it really helped with the floats, I think. Then once I got to this section where it's just knit one of one color, knit one of the other color, it's only floats of one stitch, then I wasn't so worried. So I did go back to flipping it right side out so that I could kind of see the motif emerging a little bit better. So yeah, that's what I have to show about my first sweater KAL project. I've started the ribbing on the bottom of the main sweater now, and that's going to be in the round and then steeked. And the color work is going to look just like this, kind of on the bottom hem and then up. Then there's a big shawl collar at the end. Yeah, I'm hoping to wear this to Rhinebeck with my Woolly Thistle t-shirt showing underneath. So if you see me wearing this, and please say hello. Yeah, so that's first sweater KAL project. And then the plans I have for the next one are involving Tørkle Wool DK. This is a yarn I haven't used yet. This is color Roto, I believe. It's kind of a sagey green, but on the darker, more grayish side of sage green. There's one other one that's a little bit lighter and maybe less heathered with gray. But I think this is going to make a really pretty sweater. And my plan is to make the T, I don't know if that's the pronunciation. It's a pullover by Joji Locatelli, named for, I believe, Tina, who is the owner of Tørkle Wool. And it's this really fascinating construction. It's just a simple kind of drop shoulder pullover, but it has this cable down the center. And you actually knit the front pieces and back pieces separate from each other with kind of a cabled half on the edge. And then you do an I-cord lace, like a shoelace kind of lace, to kind of seam the two fronts and the two backs together at the end. I'm really excited to work on that project next. So I have the yarn kind of in the wings here. But I'll keep you posted on that. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is the Rubani cowl. You've seen this before, but we're just, as you're watching this, we've just gotten a restock of the Junction Fiber Mill Making Tracks, which is kind of one of the yarns that this pattern calls for. So this is my my first design and has been available just in kits at the Woolly Thistle. It's a Mobius cowl color work in the round. It's a tube, so it's all just one big tube, and then you kind of do a twist and Kitchener graft it together at the end. We have several colorways available, and the original colors are not quite available. We couldn't get this particular making tracks. You know, their mill is just always going, but you know, we get what colorways we can. So we've put together a kit for the same, this is Realm of Fivel, the cream and the navy. We put together a kit with those, but with Alpenglow as the contrast color rather than this is Paisley. So that is a new colorway, and they're available in the shop as of a couple days ago. So I wanted to let you know to check that out. I submitted, if you watched a few episodes ago, I submitted some stuff to the Indiana State Fair and had kind of the results to share with you. And this was one of the pieces I submitted, and I'm happy to have it home now. So wanted to show you again. I am working on the ideas of a hat to go along with it, and to hopefully use up the extra making tracks that you'll have, because you have some left after you make this. So I'll let you know if that happens. But I think that's all I wanted to share with you today, and we'll see you next time. Happy knitting. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed Caitlin. I love seeing her sweater. Her sport cardigan is going to be
it's lovely.
Just really, really
And again,
stunning.
that squishy Mota.
I hope that it is cool enough for her to wear it comfortably at Rhinebeck.
Yes, Rhinebeck!
Because that is going to be a very warm sweater.
Yes, it is. Yes. Well, let's not think about that during a sweltering 90-degree day. Maybe it'll be fall and crisp and chilly in the air.
Yes. By then I will want pumpkin spice things. Mm-hmm. Not so much right now.
No.
But,
yeah.
And she also shared, I like her project, her upcoming. She's gonna knit a Hohi Locatelli sweater in DK, which is Tuku DK, which will be gorgeous.
Right.
And she also shared that her Rubani cowl has been restocked in the shop, which it has.
Should we look at the colors? They're down there.
Should. And while we're talking about making tracks, I wanted to show my FO here. Ooh. So
yes. Show. It's so fun and gorgeous. So
this is, you can see the whole. This is the Lindal Tørkle,
which is the
which
best
I showed last week that it was pretty much done, but this is it all blocked and finished. There are notes on my Ravelry project page. You can find me as Nesting Mag on Ravelry. Mm-hmm. So it's there. I used the Winterberry making tracks from Junction Fiber Mill.
It's lovely.
I did not really do any color management at all. I just knit.
It's perfect though.
It is.
Look at it. You've got
really
the
nice.
That's really clever.
It just happens. It's really nice.
Wow.
So there's that. And so Junction Fiber making tracks is restocked now.
Yeah, so let's look at the colors we have. I think we're waiting for Thistle to come in, so we don't have that, but we will have it by the time you see this. Yes. Are these the same or different? Or there's two of each?
Sometimes there are two of each, because the way that they dye it, they dye a whole batch and then they spin it. So they'll be the same colorways, like these are both late October, but you can see in the skein they look quite a bit different. It's just the nature of this type of yarn.
Yep, so look out ledge, you can see it's more purple in this one and more blue, and they're all the same colors, it's just how they spin up differently, which is part of the love of it.
Yeah, and I think too, like, as what I found even with mine is as I opened them up and wound them up, like there could be more purple on the inside of the skein there.
Exactly.
But definitely the way it's just the nature of this yarn, sort of like when you knit with handspun.
Yep.
So
what color is that?
This one's late October.
Here, you like these colors?
I do. This one's Alpenglow. I love this one. It's really good. And we do have a Rubani cowl that has Alpenglow in it.
This is Winterberry, which is what you knitted in your Lindal Tørkle. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous. Yes. What else do we have here?
This one might be a new colorway. Carnival. I don't think we had this one before.
Are they both the same?
They are both the same.
See,
so these are both.
Yeah, fascinating.
So I think like when you have the pinks in there, they will match up. So they will work together.
Yeah. It's sort of like you're seeing the inside and the outside together there. Yeah. You know?
And it could be that because there are so many colors that when they spun it, that you do get like maybe more pink in one skein.
Yeah. And of course, we mentioned this is Junction Fibre Mill across the water there in Vermont. This is Pebbles, which is pretty. Very pretty and gentle colors. And one of my favorites, Zinnia. I have this in my stash at home. Gorgeous. Isn't there...
You're a fan of the pinks.
I do love pinks and oranges with it. Come on. Yeah, my favorite.
It's really good.
And we have kits for most of these for Caitlin's design.
Yeah, for the ones where there's good Fibble color matches.
Yeah. And then this last one here is Summer Shade. So fresh. And just, you want to splash into that.
Yes,
gorgeous.
It's really pretty.
Yeah. So, gorgeous colors, gorgeous yarn, very bouncy. It's a DK weight. Maybe not. What's this? Yeah, I think I did right up first. Lookout Ledge.
There you go.
But very bouncy, soft to the hand, and yeah, Peg and Amanda are doing amazing things over there at their little mill. I think they're growing. They're having success. We're excited for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, support them and enjoy their yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is in the shop now.
Okie dokie then.
I think before we forget, we should pick another winner.
Good plan.
Okay. The next winner is L Merton 422. Nope. L Merton 4233. Sorry, still early here. Another great Shopcast. The segment on yarn plies was really helpful. So much neat info and inspiration, and the yoga segment felt great on my hands. Thank you so much. So L Merton 4233. If you can email us at info@thewoollythistle, we will get you your $25 gift card.
And if you'd like to be in the running for a prize, just leave a comment down below. Subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. That way we know you're here, which we love. And
the segment they were referring to, the segment on yarn plies, was from Kelsey in the last episode. We are going to put that as a standalone episode on our channel because it was so good.
Yeah, really, really good.
So
I think a lot of
feedback.
people enjoyed that. So thank you, Kelsey. You're amazing. Yeah. And I was going to mention we have a brand new member of staff. She's coming to us from Switzerland. She is an American who lives in Switzerland with her family.
So Jill's role is to engage with all of you and make sure that you get quick and speedy answers or responses, because if you were to wait on just the two of us, or even on Grady, who is amazing at getting you answers, that this way we make sure that you guys get the responses and the answers that you need right away, and feedback, and she just kind of keeps things chugging along. Yeah.
So welcome, Jill. We love having you on the team. You're doing great stuff already, which we really appreciate. And yes, hopefully out there, if you get in touch, you will notice that you're getting a reply in a timely manner from one of us. But Jill, definitely, I see her popping up on Facebook and on Instagram and all that. So welcome, Jill. I also want to take a moment to mention that we've had a changing of the guard in our inventory department. Josh has moved on, which I wish him lots of luck. He has another opportunity. And we now welcome Seth, who is our new inventory coordinator and is making sure that all our orders come in and get put in the warehouse and is managed. We really appreciate Seth coming on board. So it keeps us on our toes to keep our systems fresh and being able to explain them and all of that. So It's a busy shop here right now.
It is.
So what's next, Maggie?
What's next? I think we should go to Rachel next.
That sounds good. Let's go to Rachel and we'll see you on the other side.
Hello friends, it's Rachel from Barkland Croft here in Fair Isle. Can you believe we're in September? Where has the year gone to? But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's have a look and see what we've been up to on the croft during August. Well, you may remember that July was a particularly wet month for us here in the Isle, and August started off pretty much in a similar vein, with grey skies, windy, and then there was the rain to come, so it didn't look too promising. These are the boys, that's my field of boys. So this weather was fairly typical of the start of August, and I have to say I was getting quite worried as to whether I'd ever get my sheep clipped or not by September, but thankfully good weather was on its way. Luckily the sun came out and I was able to carry on clipping for a good few days. Here's Agatha, she's just had her hair cut, and that's her fleece there. You can certainly see the difference in colour where the sun has bleached the outer of her fleece compared to the real jet black inner. All the wet weather followed by the sun has been really good for plants though, and there's been beautiful heather around the aisle. My squash plant got its first flower, and my first strawberries started appearing. You may remember in my last video I mentioned that the brakes had completely failed on my car, so I was back to being without transport. Well, my dear friend Sue, who has lived here for over 20 years, she finally moved away and left the Isle a couple of weeks ago, and bless her, she donated her old car to me, so I have transport again, which is wonderful. It's not a new car, but it works, and it's certainly the fanciest car I think I've ever had, so I'm very happy. My neighbours, who usually deliver the mail on the Isle, had gone out to Shetland, but ended up getting stranded for a bit longer than anticipated because of the weather, so asked if I would deliver the mail, which was great, and it was a good opportunity for me and the dogs to have a nice walk down to the pier to retrieve their car, which had the mailbox and the scanning device in it. Whilst we were there, we took a walk down onto the pontoon and had a look to see if we could see anything in the water there, and I was really pleased to see a lovely big sea urchin on the side of the pier. Back at home, Tortuga the cat was busy keeping the lambs entertained. Tortuga. And here we've got a very grown-up looking seraph, who you may remember is Blossom's lamb. One of my Patreon videos this month takes a look at the remains of the Heinkel aircraft, which crashed here in World War II. If you're interested in finding out more about it, then please head over to my Patreon page, where you can take advantage of a 7-day free trial. After that glorious day of sunshine, it was sadly back to thoroughly miserable weather for a couple of days. And I think the sheep that had just been clipped were pretty cross with me because they were wanting their coats back on. Thankfully, the good weather wasn't too far away, and I enjoyed being back at the museum for a couple of cruise ship visits that we had. We also had some beautiful sunsets, and here you can see Saucepan waiting at the fence for his biscuit. One job that I was finally pleased to get out of the way was rolling all of the silage bales through into the back garden to fence them off. I then fenced off the bales in the top silage park too, so that the sheep can't get at them. Another day and more fencing. This time it was repairing several stretches of fencing that runs between my park and one of my neighbours' parks. As you can see, the weather here really does a number on anything metal, and it doesn't take long for it to rust and then just simply disintegrate. And as you can see, it's quite easy for sheep just to push their way through. So I spent about half a day refencing this stretch up here, and now the sheep are secure on both sides. Once the fencing was done, it meant that finally, after weeks of being shut out of this park to give the grass a chance to grow, all of the girls could go in there and enjoy some yummy fresh grass. And as you can see, they were quite happy to be let through. Thankfully, the last few days of August have been absolutely brilliant weather, and it's been really great to be able to get outside and get so many of the kind of end of season jobs that are needing to be done before winter hits. So another day, more fencing, and I've got a little helper with me today. This is Nieva, one of my dogs. Although she didn't like the sound of hard work too much, so off she goes. So what I've done in this park with this fencing is just basically make it double height, and that's because Busby, one of my naughty rams, decided that he quite liked bashing it down or jumping over it to get in with the yows over last winter, and that's why we ended up with several lambs this year. So hopefully now we're reinforced, it will at least go a decent measure towards keeping him out. I've really loved being able to harvest some of the veg that I've grown in my garden, and I shouldn't have really picked these peas because they were too small, but I couldn't resist them and they were lovely and sweet. It's also been really nice to see the Montbretia starting to flower, which really is such an autumnal colour. We're starting to see the first of what I like to think of as the autumnal sunsets, and they really are stunning. I'm certainly not going to win any prizes for my footage of the rising supermoon, but you'll have to take my word for it that it was really spectacular to watch in person, as it were. And I was really pleased that I got to see it setting the following morning as well. Sadly, that marked the start of what for me was a really bittersweet day, as I had to send my lambs out to market. These were the ones that were born in August last year, and then the ones from earlier this year as well. Here I am at the pier waving them off, which is always, for me at least, incredibly difficult. Ending the day on a positive note, however, I got my last 7 sheep clipped. That's Audrey. She was my last customer for a haircut this year. So with 1 day to spare, I achieved my goal of getting all the sheep clipped before September. That was 99 sheep clipped, and it took 23 days in total, spread out over 3 months. Here I am giving my back a rest finally and having a lie down on Audrey's really cosy fleece, which honestly I could have just wrapped myself up in and gone to sleep. And it looks like I wasn't the only one with that idea too. Well, thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I thought I'd leave you with a little before and after photo. So here's a rather younger looking me with a very young looking Busby. And here we are today, 4 years on, and Busby's still as cheeky and loves nothing more than sticking his tongue out still. Bye for now, and I hope to see you again next month.
Welcome back after being with Rachel over there in Fair Isle. Thank you, Rachel, for sending in that postcard. We love your postcards, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. All right. So what is next, Maggie? Are we going to talk about what's in the shop?
I think we should talk about what's in the shop.
Okay.
The big news, I feel like the big news.
What's the big news?
I mean, there's lots of great things in the shop, but Shetland Wool Week Annual is available now on pre-order.
Yes.
This annual looks like it's going to be another good one. I love having the annuals on my bookshelf.
Yep.
They are a must. So you can now pre-order that, and it will release on September 23rd, which I believe is just in time for the actual Wool Week event.
Yes. Shetland Wool Week and us ourselves have gotten better at getting ahead of the curve with this, which is great. Yeah. I do believe we are the biggest stockist of Shetland Wool Week over here on this side of the pond, which we're very proud about. And so, yes, if you want to get it. And we will ship it out to you as soon as it launches on September
23rd.
Okay, so that's great. And you'll have it nice and fast, which we like.
Yes.
Yes. What else, Maggie?
A couple of other things have arrived. So also on pre-order is embroidery on your knits,
which is doing phenomenally well.
Yeah, this book, we can put a picture here because it is not yet here. It looks like it's going to be a really, really good one. Yeah. So you can pre-order that one as well. That releases on September 29th. Mm-hmm. Always keep in mind, if you pre-order a book and you order other items with it, we will ship everything once the book releases. Mm-hmm. If you want the other stuff separately, you need to place a separate order.
Yeah.
Davar from Kate Davies. Miss Kate is here. This arrived last week. This is another really, really good one.
It's a gorgeous book.
It is.
I was looking through it, and I mean, obviously her designs are beautiful, but the photography, you know, Tom, her husband, is a photographer, but the island that they're focused on is just so lovely.
Yeah.
And there's essays, as always. You know, it's a true Kate book.
Yes.
I love it when she does hot water bottles.
I know.
I knitted one of her hot water bottle covers.
I really need to. I love, that's pretty, but this sweater, oh my gosh.
So I wonder what weight that is.
It's a DK. There's so many good choices.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a nice Aran sweater.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure this out. Is this a pendant?
I think that's her necklace. Yeah. So that's the sweater again. There's some pretty mitts. It's a great book.
But let's see the island a little bit up front. because I love her books for how much exploration there is of the area that she's talking about. Look at those mountains.
Yeah.
That is not the island. That's probably the mainland.
Lighthouses.
Yeah.
So there's just lots of really beautiful photography and essays.
Look at that. That's the island. It's just this little spit. Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this is another really good one. Another for Kate Davies fans.
It's on pre-order. Well, we have
Actually,
it now.
it's here now, so you can just pop into the shop and it will ship to you right away.
Yep. That's great. That's great. And of course, I am knitting out of All Over, which is also available. And I think when you buy this and you buy All Over, you get a little discount.
I think
if you buy them together. So that's a thought.
Yeah. It's not available yet, but it's coming soon, which is Armscote Manor.
Yes, Armscote Manor is a gorgeous yarn. Now, do we have any of it in the shop right now?
No, so it's not available. No, it'll be a couple of weeks.
But it'll be coming. And of course, this is their Black Welsh Mountain, which is this dark, bitter chocolate, grey, silver. Oh,
I know. It's really good. We have their 100% Portland wool,
which is such a special wool. I mean, the sheep from this go back to the Domesday Book. If you don't know what that is, Google it. But Armscote Manor is actually a manor house in Warwickshire in England. I could go on and on. You've probably heard it before, but it's very special yarn. And the wool merchants were raising the Portland sheep for market and wool. And of course, England was a huge wool trading in the medieval times. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so this is their grey, and it's called, this one's called?
A dash.
A dash, and they only have the dash now.
Yeah.
You used to have splash and dash. Now it's just dash and dash.
And this is this year's run of Armscote Manor. So every year, we were lucky enough this year to get all of her Black Welsh Mountain and all of their dash.
All of it.
Which is really, really great. The way that they make the dash is that they take the Portland wool and they mix in a dash of the Black Welsh Mountain, and you get that beautiful
grey.
So
fantastic sweater knitting for sure. You know, a nice sweater that you're going to wear over a t-shirt maybe. And
I saw somebody in our Facebook group too. Let's see if we can hunt it down and put a photo here. They just knit a sweater in I think it was just in the Portland. It was absolutely gorgeous.
I bet.
Awesome. So these will be available soon. So get on our newsletter if you want all the details.
Very special yarn all around. And we really only get it once a year when she does her clip. So, this is fun.
The other thing that's available now in the shop is the Flowers of Fort Rose mitten pattern and a new course that features the Flowers of Fort Rose hat and mitten pattern.
With Emma.
That is done for us by Emma Barnaby.
It's doing amazing. Many of you have signed up for the course, and it's a self-paced course, and we use the mittens and the hat, the Flowers of Fort Rose hat, which
is up there.
We use that as the teaching example.
And actually, back here too.
But you don't need to knit either of these for the course. You're going to learn color work no matter what.
Yeah, she goes over a lot of the basic things that you learn in any color work pattern, and she just uses the Fort Rose patterns as a guide to teach you those techniques.
But I'm so thrilled with these mittens. I'm really I need to finish the you
gotta finish the thumb on
I'm gonna finish the thumb. But look at these colors. They're just amazing. I think I've got it on backwards. So yes, and just tickled.
We have kits in both Jamieson and Smith and in Rama Lamel Garn.
Yep. So you can take your pick, and just lovely. Very fun.
So these are available now.
Yep. Nice little a nice little color work. What'd you call that? Palette cleanser in between other bigger projects maybe.
Yes.
Or alongside.
Also, I don't know if you can reach that basket.
Oh, I just saw up there that we've still got 12 days of Christmas boxes. So those are still on sale, and we'll be pre-selling those until we ship them out in November.
Yes.
Or until we run out of them.
Yes. So as you can see here, we have our West Yorkshire Spinners holiday yarns. This year's yarn is Nutcracker.
It's doing great.
It is doing great.
You guys are loving it.
We can put a picture here to show you what it looks like when it's knit up.
Yep.
It does come with a free pattern. So when you purchase a ball of Nutcracker, you'll automatically get an email with the free pattern.
Designed by Winnick Mum, and she does a lot of designs for West Yorkshire Spinners.
Yep.
And you could do heels and toes, which is very, very festive.
Yeah. And this is Cherry Drop.
And we have all the previous colors too for the holiday socks. And we've done some sparkle sets and some non-sparkle sets for the holiday sets if you want to go that way.
Yeah, so these are available now in the shop, so you've got plenty of time to get your Christmas sock knitting done.
Yay! And you know, some of us can get maybe 3 pairs out of a couple of balls.
Yeah.
Talking about you,
I can easily get 2 pairs out.
Yeah.
If I do contrasting heels and toes.
Yeah, three pairs may be too much. But
at least 2.
I think,
but I've got fairly small feet.
I do too. I think I could get 3 socks out of 1 ball though, easily.
Yeah.
Even including a larger size. So
last but not least, we have something special today launching at noon. We have
this is good stuff too, isn't it?
Yes. This is Black Isle Killen sock yarn.
Never had it before, and it's all naturally dyed by Julie. We'll be going to visit Julie in a moment, but let's look at her yarn as we let's look at these lists because I think these are super interesting and special. All right, so she does natural dyeing, and what she does is she does a dye bath, and you get this lovely saturated color. Does she tell us?
She does.
Rust. This is color rust. Where does it say what is dyed?
Dyed with walnut and
fustic. Yeah, so walnuts and fustic. So yes, Killen is Black Isle Yarn's sock yarn. It is an 80-20 of Blueface Leicester and mohair. The Blueface Leicester is from the Black Isle, from our farm, ARR, and the mohair comes direct from South Africa. She actually touches on this in our chat, so you'll hear about that. So she starts off with a dye bath and gets a really saturated color, and then she puts it in again for the lighter color. And so you get 2 shades, either one or 2 together is really nice. So that is the rust color. And then, this sings to me. This one here is called Brocade and is dyed with walnut and black.
Although she gives them each different names. So the darker one here is called Rust and the lighter one's called Cinnamon 2.
Gotcha.
So in case you're looking for those in the shop.
This is Berries and this is Brocade. Oh, just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then we have this deep purple called Violet and Periwinkle. And these are dyed with logwood. Lovely. And then of course, I'm sure we've got indigo here. Oh, best names, Loch Ness and Denim. And yes, dyed with indigo. Aren't those amazing? And they're lovely and soft, aren't they? And I think they've got a nice really twist. And then we've got these lovely skeins, which I think are super awesome. Summer Garden. And you can see that she has done some variegations. Lovely gold in there, very nice. And this one, I'm sorry, is called Summer Garden 1, I said that. And then my favorite, probably Culloden. Ugh. Look at all those pinks. Lovely. And of course, Culloden Moor, the famous Culloden Moor, is not far from where Julie is on the Black Isle, although it's not on the Black Isle.
So these special skeins will be available today at noon.
Yes.
In the shop.
So definitely be on our newsletter. You're seeing this here today, hopefully in time that if you want these, you can get them. But if you're on our newsletter, we will make sure to let you know when things are coming.
Yes.
Oh, right. What else do we have?
We have one more winner. Look at me. I didn't forget. We have one more winner.
Good job.
Our third winner today is Ms. Cloud. And Ms. Cloud says, I love watching with my coffee and catching up with everyone while I knit. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and being here.
Yes.
Ms. Cloud, if you can email us at info@thewoollythistle, put prize winner in all caps, we will get you your $25 gift card.
Wonderful. And if you would like to be in the running, you know the drill by now. You just leave a comment below, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel. Maggie, we need to go and visit with Julie now. And I think, is that us?
I think that's it.
That's
We're going to let Julie take you out.
Yep. So thank you for being here. And I think all that's left to say is if you go out,
take your knitting.
Bye. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Julie from Black Isle Yarns today. Hi, Julie. And I'm really excited to have Julie here. She is the owner of Black Owl Yarns, which she started several years ago. And you focus on minimally processed wool from the Black Isle mostly. And you hand select the fleeces, and you work with several mills, and you bring us the most gorgeous minimally processed wools that are out there. We love them here. And you also do some natural dyeing as well. So you have natural colored yarns, and then you have some that are naturally dyed. And I actually have a lovely basket of some of your dyed yarns back here, which I hope we get to talk about. It's Killen, the sock yarn. And yeah, it's just really, really good to have you, Julie. We are actually old friends, and it's good to be connecting finally. I'm sorry we've never had you on the show before now. That seems like a terrible omission on my part, but it's good to have you here.
Very good to be here. It's so nice to see you and chat in person after quite a few.
I know, we were just saying that it's been a few years since I've been home, but on that trip with my kids, we did come and visit you and hang out, and we went for a nice walk along Rosemarkie Beach, which, well, you're on the Black Isle. Maybe you could share a little bit about the Black Isle, its geography and its location, to give people an idea of where you're actually coming from.
Yeah, of course. It's the first thing to say is it's not an island. That does confuse people. I get quite a few people puzzled about how to get here, but we're a peninsula rather than an island, and attached to mainland Scotland, the Highlands, just to the north of Inverness. So it's only about half an hour from Inverness, which I guess is known as the capital of the Highlands. And it's a wee peninsula with 7 or 8 little villages, and almost everything's on the coast because it's only a few miles wide and a few miles long. And yeah, it's a very special place to live.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely. Yeah, and so my granddad lived in Fortrose on the Black Isle. So I know the Black Isle very well from school holidays. We would spend time up there. And actually the Flowers of Fortrose, which was my latest hat design and mittens, was named for that very village. So yeah, I know exactly where you are. And I think it's great that you are doing as much as you are to sort of, well, I think increase the profile, especially from a woolly point of view of the area, because there must be a lot of farms around you.
Yeah, pretty much all the land use around us is farming and a little bit of forestry as well. So, and most of the farms are either, we've got quite high quality soil land compared to a lot of the rest of northern Scotland. So there are quite a few farms with arable land, mostly growing barley for the whiskey industry.
But for the whiskey industry?
So malting the whiskey. But if not, then it's farmland mostly for sheep. So you know, both ways out of my windows, I look out at sheep in the distance, and the closest farms that I work with are just over the brow of the hill, so maybe 3 or 4 miles from the house.
Yeah.
And as you know, there's just not there's very little value to fleeces in the UK at the moment. So I mean, I'm just a very, very, very tiny tip of the iceberg in terms of the number of fleeces I can buy and give a good use to. But it is good that at least some of them get. Well, I had a lady visit me this morning, and she bought from Germany. She bought some yarn that she's going to weave, and then she sells the blankets and scarves that she weaves.
Oh,
and it's fantastic to think that they get such a valuable end use, and so people hopefully get to enjoy the wool that's come from here on the Black Isle.
Right, that's awesome. So, so is there lots of different sheep breeds on Black Isle? Like these different farms, do they have different breeds? And I suppose the main reason for rearing them is for meat, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Almost entirely. So the majority of the flocks around about will be Cheviot. So I think you would say Cheviot, is that right?
I think so.
And so the North Country Cheviot is the main breed around here. They're sort of a hill sheep. They'll cope with the rougher ground. And I think that they're not thought of as having particularly nice fleece in terms of handcraft, but the better quality fleeces are lovely, and they've got such a nice crimp and bounce to them. really clean colour too. The fleece colour itself is fabulous, whereas some of them tend to be a bit more yellow. So mostly cheviot for meat, and they'll end up, there's a whole system where they'll end up being crossbred to produce other breeds, which then go on to be the end product. There's sort of a quite system in UK farming. But there are also, I don't really know why, I've never fathomed out why, I think it's just coincidental. There's 3 or 4 flocks of Gotland sheep on the Black Isle. So that's where you've had some of my fibre that's got Gotland in, which is so nice to have access to. It's not a British breed, but they've got such lovely fleeces. And then there's a few flocks of, well, not very many Shetland on the Black Isle itself, and again, not much blue-faced Leicester on the Black Isle itself. Those are two other local breeds that I tend to buy, but just because I like the fleeces, and I end up working with farmers and smallholders who have an interest in what happens to their fleeces, because I pay far more than anyone would get from the wool board, but it's still not a huge amount of money, especially in the economics of a farm. And I don't, awkwardly, from the farmer's perspective, I don't want to take the whole clip, because I want to be able to pick out the fleeces. So the people that I end up working with are ones who are just really, as much as anything, really interested and really keen to have the wool valued and used, rather than just getting money for it. Lots more farmers out there. So I've just worked mostly by word of mouth, I think, and contacts, ended up with the group that I use at the moment. And every now and then I want something else, or I expand. And so then I look around for more flocks to work with. But there's a fairly unlimited amount.
There's a lot of sheep. So what happens to most of the wool then that you're not selecting? Is it getting burned, or is it sold to the wool board, do you think? Or
it does go to the wool board, I think. Well, for the reasonable sized farms, because the wool board will then come and either they have the trailers and towing equipment to take it straight to the wool board, which is not that far away. It's only half an hour's drive, our local depot, or the wool board themselves will collect. But quite a lot of the smaller flocks, I suspect it ends up sitting in a shed or being stuck around some trees. Well, although to be honest, if it's used as mulch around trees or whatever, that's not a
bad use.
It's still a useful use. But I mean, the bigger farmers who are sending off cheviot and mixed breed fleeces are getting less back than it costs to clip, which is you're hearing. I think it's the same everywhere.
It just becomes an expense.
So one of the guys I work with, he's a especially lovely older farmer who has a fairly small flock of North Country cheviots, but Rod's now sort of retired from showing, but they've won awards all over, some of the best quality pedigree cheviots you could come across. And Rod talks about, as a kid, he first learned to shear by being sent out to clip dead sheep. It happened very often, but there was so much value in the fleece that before you disposed of the carcass, you would remove the fleece. Not today, probably. It wouldn't be worth the effort. But that was how Rod started out shearing.
Gosh.
How different.
So different. And I think that hand knitters are definitely making a wee bit of difference to that overall. But it does seem that over the years it's been very much that way of, the fleece is a byproduct and it costs money to shear it, and then you don't get very much from the board. So I think any way that these people like yourself can help rescue some of that fleece and actually give it value for the farmer as well as the hand knitter, it feels like a win-win,
I think so. I hope so. And I think there are more and more people producing yarn and other products from British wool and other countries too, and it does feel as if there's gradually been more of a recognition of the amazing properties of natural fibres. So hopefully gradually builds up. It is a bit of a change.
So tell us a little bit about Black Isle Yarns and your history, how you got started, why you started, all of that.
It was I kind of struggle to pin it down because I'm not always completely sure. It was one of these things that was just a series of moments that led into having some yarn spun. I'm originally an ecologist and worked in forestry, but then stopped working. We've got 4 kids, but when we had our third, we moved for my husband's job, and then my commute. Anyway, I just ended up not working and started sewing in my spare. Well, just I think I needed things to do. So did a lot of sewing, but then when I was sewing, I found I was listening to people like Louise Scully of Woolwork, but it took me quite a long time to fathom out why. And it's because I eventually realized it was because the wool is traceable, there's traceability and provenance there. And that was what really attracted me. And, much as I love working with fabric, cotton fabric, say, it's really hard to know where that came from and how it's treated and so on. And we had a small holding. My parents had a small holding when I was a kid, so I grew up working with sheep. So I had some understanding about fleeces and fleece quality. And about then, at some point, I started doing a little bit of natural dyeing because I like plants. And then I didn't like. So initially, I think I don't really know what I dyed on, just some yarn from somewhere. And very quickly thought, hang on a minute. I want to know what breed of sheep this is and where it's come from.
Right.
And spent quite a long time hunting online to try and buy some undyed fibre.
Right.
Traceable and breed specific, and just couldn't.
It
was always possible at that point. So I can't remember, maybe because of Knit British, I somehow or other I came across the Border Mill, who are in the south of Scotland. Fantastic smaller mill who can spin down to quite small quantities, but also reasonable, slightly bigger batches too. They're very helpful folk, John and Juliet and Kate, the production manager. And so I contacted them about having a small batch spun, just really for me to dye with. And then I think I must have decided that maybe I should just have a bit more spun, which I did. And that was how Black Isle Yarn started.
I love that. There's sort of this fearless moving through the process almost.
Possibly, I don't know, sheer ignorance. I'm not sure what it was.
I think it is though. You realized that you wanted something, you couldn't find it. So how do I get it made? That's pretty amazing, really.
I guess agreed. I don't know. Anyway, that's what happened. So I was very lucky because the Border Mill are great people to work with, and they're also very free and helpful with advice. I was starting initially. I just had, I think I had some Cheviot and also some sort of not quite purebred Gotland from a local small holding spun. And then I started thinking about blending fibres from different breeds and so on. And they were so useful to get started on thinking about that and knowing about different staple length, which obviously going straight in, having done it accidentally, I didn't know at that point.
Well, I wanted to ask. So I wanted to ask more about that. But when did you actually start selling yarn as Black Isle Yarns? Was it around about 2016 or something?
Yeah, I think about 2016. Yeah.
Did we meet that year at Edinburgh Yarn Festival? I have a feeling that's when we first met. I
think we probably did, didn't we?
Yeah, because I knew of you, obviously, because, Black Isle, I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this person? What is she doing? That's awesome. Yeah, so let me follow up on what you were saying about, staple length and mills. I mean, really, that is sort of jumping off the deep end when what are some of the considerations that you take into account when you're designing a new yarn? Which way round is it? Is it that you've got the wool and then you start to design the yarn, or do you have a yarn in mind and then you go find the wool? And all of that.
Yeah, I think it's mostly that I would have in my mind a yarn and then find the wool, but it also works that I have the people I like working with, or have built up relationships with, or someone else I've come across who I would like to start working with, and then working out how that fits into. So I have a production plan, because I want to buy the same number of fleeces approximately from each farm each year. But I don't necessarily, given that some of my batches are now quite big, I don't need to have them spun every year. Mm-hmm. So that impacts on what fleeces I need. So I try and plan it so that I need the same amount of fleeces of the same breeds, so that I can keep working with the same farms year on year, and a production plan that works around that. So, for instance, one year I would spin Killen, which is the sock yarn that you have sitting behind you, and then another year I would spin Ochen, which is a totally different yarn but has a similar amount of blue-faced Leicester in it. Right. And the blue-faced Leicester in both of those comes from the same farm.
Right.
So quite a big batch from the same farm. It's beautiful. Right. And so I can then buy the same amount-ish. Some years I've not been able to buy quite as much because the quality just wasn't as good. But that's, so then I can go to Muriel every year and try and take about the same amount. So she knows where she is and I know where I am. I have actually cut down slightly this year because we've had a series of sort of family hiccups. So I've had to rejig things, but I'm hoping next year it'll be back onto normal. So that's always at the back of my mind, is trying to work through what batches I've got coming up and what size, and therefore which farms, if I need any more to add in. And then if I add them in, I want to be able to keep working with them year on year rather than it just being a one-off.
And is your goal as well to have, like, Ochen is a gorgeous yarn, and I know that you've been through a couple of productions of it. Is that your goal, is to keep producing, this year's clip of Ochen and then next year's clip of Ochen?
Yeah, so my thought would be that it would be every second year with something like Ochen and Killen. So they would be on 2-year cycles.
Right, because
some pieces are the same between those. Those are my two bigger ones, and Ochen is significantly bigger again than Killen, right? Because it's a third blue-faced Leicester, a third Cheviot, and a third Shetland. So that's the main big blend, which was quite purposefully thought through. I wanted to produce a woolen spun yarn. All my others are worsted spun, so I wanted a little like your 2-ply jumper weights from Shetland. Light and airy properties, but not 100% Shetland. So it's got a little bit of softness in there from the blue-faced Leicester and a little bit of a sheen. And then the Cheviot gives it really nice sort of bounce.
Yeah, it's lovely yarn.
Yeah, so that's my thinking. And those three are all, they do potentially have quite different staple lengths. So Shetland in particular can have quite a short staple.
Yeah.
So when I'm choosing fleeces to go into Ochen, the Shetland fleeces, I actually end up with slightly less good quality. Well, yes, in terms of micron count, there'll be slightly less good quality Shetland fleeces, more at the commercial end of the type of sheep, and their staple length is bigger. So when I'm picking out for Ochen with the Shetland, it's more the staple length. I'll go as soft as I can, but they fit in with the Cheviot and the blue-faced Leicester. And I also need to, Ochen is a sort of an oatmeal-y grey, which is all white fleeces except for a small percentage of dark Shetland I put in there. So I need to bear in mind the approximate number that, and so far I've managed to replicate a very similar shade, but it's about 1 year it'll come back slightly different shade.
But that's part of the attraction of it too, though. It's not commercially, flattened out and the same. It's going to be different depending on the sheep as well, and their environment that year.
The handle will always be different year on year. And my Shetland, so my pure Shetland, which goes to the Natural Fibre Company in Cornwall to be spun, so it's worsted spun, so it's very, very different from say the Shetland 2-ply jumper weights. So it's smooth and sort of almost buttery soft because it's been worsted spun rather than woolen spun. I'm really lucky to work with some very high quality small holdings. And their fleeces are just fantastic. But they're very, very different from most of what goes into Auchen. They're quite short staple, as spidery fine.
That's lovely. So yeah, I don't have any Auchen here. We're completely sold out, and I left my skeins at home, which is annoying. Otherwise, I would show you.
Yeah, I don't have to be within reach either, which was silly. So
that's okay. And I've got some. We might as well, seeing we're talking about your yarns, have a wee look at some that I do have. So this one here is Ball Blair. And what we like to do with some of your yarns, Julie, I mean, obviously we like to sell them on their own, but oftentimes they go into our selection box or our taster box, which is a very special box of yarn of the best of what we have at the Woolly Thistle. And of course, I've always loved your logo, and then Katie Greenbean's little sheep on the back. Yes. So yeah, Ball Blair. Now tell us about Ball Blair. We don't have this in stock. This is we're just chatting about it, but this one's the Gotland and Blueface Leicester, right?
Yeah, it is. So it's called Ball Blair because it's the little tiny, it's almost a hamlet. It's just barely a collection of houses, sits in between the main two flocks where the Gotland in it from. So it's 65% Gotland, 35% Blueface Leicester, and they're all from the Black Isle. A different source of Blueface Leicester in there than goes into Killen. And it still smells pretty sheepy, doesn't it? Because it's done at the Border Mill, so it's really as gently processed as you can get, I guess.
Yeah, it's lovely. We always celebrate finding veg matter in wool or in yarn because
there's probably quite a bit in
there. And then what's this I've got here? Froch. Am I saying?
Well, that's as good as I can get, Corinne. Yeah, and unless you start speaking Gaelic as a kid, I think it's pretty difficult.
Gaelic is way beyond me, but this is lovely too. I love the color of this. So what goes into this? This is your 75% Shetland and Gotland with a hint of Shetland and Charolais, 25% of that. So this is lovely too.
Yeah, that's another one spun by the Border Mill, and I contacted them and said I wanted to do something different from Ball Blair, and wondered about mixing the Shetland and the Gotland. We discussed the difficulty then was potentially the pure Gotland can have a really quite a long staple length,
right? And
even the longest I'd be wanting to use was probably going to mismatch. So the very first fleeces I bought were from a wee flock that's not pure Gotland, and they have Shetland and Charolais genetics in the flock. So we chatting with Kate at the Border Mill, we decided that probably if I used that Gotland alongside some longer Shetland, they might well spin well together. So pleased with that yarn.
It's lovely. So do you think you'll have either of these come back one day, or were they one-offs?
But I'm not certain. So
I love that though.
I feel bad saying that, but it's just fitting in the juggle with the bigger ones that I want to be able to keep repeating. I would definitely like to, because I really like both of them.
But I think that's part of the charm of it is, it's here today. Who knows, if you can do it again, or if the environment's going to change such that, or maybe farms come and go as well a wee bit. I'm sure there's farms shutting down every once in a while. It's just
that will happen.
And you cannot guarantee the same production either. So
you can't. I guess if you were buying through a broker, then you can, I guess, and it's going to be the same quality and the same grade the same way year on year. But
that's not what you're doing.
You're working. It's a very different scale and just a different way of going about it. So
and then for our first time, we've never had Killen, and Killen is a town as well on the Black Isle.
So I get to another small village, and it sits in between the first 2 flocks that I bought fleece from for my first batch of Killen. So my first batches of Killen were again the border mill, and I chatted to them early on. I didn't like the idea. I liked the idea of making sock yarn, but I didn't like the idea of using nylon. And so I chatted, what were the alternatives, what could we do differently, and what percentages would we do. So we settled on 80% blue face Leicester, 20% mohair. And that very first batch they managed, the Border Mill sourced British mohair for me. But that was just a one-off, sadly. And I tried really hard for the next 2 or 3 years.
That's exactly the sort of thing I'm saying. It's like you had it, but now you can't do that exact thing again. So things change. So this mohair is from South Africa, correct?
It is, yeah. So I mean, I've pondered making contacts in South Africa and buying from a specific farm and being able to do it that way, which would be, I would then be more in control of welfare and quality and so on. Yeah. Oh no, not the quality, but in the provenance. Yeah. But it then needs to be flown or shipped here as what's really a tiny little batch, and so environmentally that's less good. So in the end, I've settled for using the mohair that this mill uses in their own yarns anyhow. Yes. So it's one of the mills, and they are buying in mohair from South Africa anyway. So I just use percentage of it. I
love that you're thinking right around all of that, and
it's quite difficult, and sometimes it's impossible to have all the boxes that I would love to have ticked. Right. And so it's settling on which ones make the most sense, and also being prepared to change them if I need to. But at the moment, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. So looking at Killen, this is dyed. So you're naturally dyeing these, and I noticed your t-shirt that you're wearing too. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is actually in Killen. Yeah. So this is a new design. Jessica McDonald. I meant to check it before.
I love Jessica McDonald.
Violet tee.
Yes.
Broad shoulder. I don't know whether you'll be able to see it.
Lovely.
I'm really. Oh, I'll do a little stand up. Yeah. Really wearing it.
Cute. Oh, it's so cute.
So it's very fun.
Yeah. And you knitted this in Killen?
In Killen, yeah. So not dissimilar to the darker indigo there. It's a slightly different dye batch.
Tell us about your natural dyeing process and how you learned what you know.
Just a lot of experimenting.
Mucking about in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, I use the utility room, but it's the mud room. It's just sitting around, and I'm not the world's most precise person. So, well, I can be, but I'd like to work by feel mostly. So I do work off dye recipes and percentages and proportions. Yeah. But I tend to mostly use whole dye material. So even if I use some locally gathered dye material, in which case when I'm dyeing, I would be using sort of a percentage of dye material, say tansy, to the weight of fibre. Yeah. But, that's pretty rough and ready depending on how dry it is and what time of year it is and so on. And then I also buy in some of my dye material. Otherwise, I'd have a much more restricted range of colours. And I kind of feel, to do the yarn justice, I want to have a wider colour palette. And that's really mean not using just local plants.
Right.
So the dyes I buy in, I mostly buy in as whole dye stuff. Rather than if I bought extracts, I could then do percentages and dye recipes and so on, and it would be slightly more repeatable. But I think it's partly I just like the whole dye stuff, and you also get, I feel, potentially more. Well, it's less processed to come to me. I guess it's then bulkier for transport, but it hasn't. It's been less processed.
Right. So you're ordering in like a bag of the plant. Dry?
Yes. So the logwood is a very fibrous, woody material that stick. Recently I was dyeing and I completely forgot to strain it out. So mostly you'd extract the colour in a bath, a big pan, and then strain out the raw plant material and then do the dyeing. Right. Completely forgot. So I spent a lot of time picking the logwood.
I did that when I tried to dye with madder. I left the madder in and completely forgot. So yes, I know that's a pain in the neck.
It is a complete pain. It is a complete pain. But we're using the raw. So for here, we chatted about colours to do, and one of the things I remember saying was that I wanted to be able to. I didn't want to end up with a load of dye baths that I hadn't used most of the colour from.
Right.
The dyeing that we were sending out to you. So with most of the colours, I've done 2 colours for you. Right. So one is the first dye bath, and then the second is what would be called the exhaust. Although often I'll get more batches after that, more baths after. And then I also still have the original logwood that I used to extract the colour from. Right. I've got saved, and I will reheat that and get more colour from it. So that's one of the things I like using. Why I like using the raw plant stuff. That's so it does, but it makes it much less precise, because by the time you're getting to reheating up the logwood pieces again, really quite hard to know how much colour. So I'm doing a lot of judging by eye, but it does mean my colours are less repeatable, far less repeatable.
But they're beautiful. I mean, I actually really like that we've got 2 dye baths here, because this is very saturated and deep and delicious looking, and then this is softer, lighter. They'd go well together, or
it gives more.
And these are 100-gram skeins, so you can get a pair of socks out of these. But it's super soft that you could make garments or other accessories.
Yeah, I've knit holding one of my yarns with it's sort of like a kid silk mohair, and I love the sweater I produced, but I actually that was the first time I'd used mohair a few years ago, and I actually found I couldn't wear it. It was quite prickly. I was sensitive to mohair, whereas possibly partly because Killen's got quite a high twist to help with the strength of socks. Right. I do find I can wear Killen. There is a slight wrinkle, so if you're sensitive, it might not work around your neck. Right. But if you're reasonably comfortable with most fibres, I think, but struggle with mohair, I think Killen can be okay. And yes, certainly a pair of socks easily, unless you've got humongous feet. But,
So, and this must be indigo, I'm sure. Does it say on here?
Yeah, it should do. The labels should say what the dye material was for all of them.
Loch Ness. This is Loch Ness. I love it.
I just thought it was that, it can be so deep and dark and brooding.
Dark blue. Yeah. So this says dyed with indigo, and also very importantly, you have the farm name where the Blueface Leicester came from. So this is the R farm. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so let's look at your other ones. See, pink is my jam.
I thought you might like those ones.
So this, what did you use to dye with? Oh, walnut and lac.
Yeah, so there's also 2 more rusty toned skeins, I think you have. So there I did an extraction from walnut husks to create the original dye bath, and then that. So that first darker one there is dyed with walnut and fustic. Most of the fustic attaches to the fibre, and then there's a second dye bath of the paler walnut fustic, by which time pretty much all the fustic, most of the fustic is on the yarn, not in the dye bath. Right. But there's still a fair bit of walnut in the dye bath. So then I dyed the pinky shades by adding lac. But lac on it's and then so there's not so much walnut left, but it just gives it a warmer tone and less of the vibrant pink, which I really like, actually.
I did. That's amazing, though, that this has this in it.
Yeah, and that's 4 dye baths from the one extraction from the walnut husks.
Amazing.
Which
Beautiful.
I find that very satisfying.
Yeah. Waste not, want not, as my mum would say.
Yeah.
So okay, so the lac is what made this more pink.
Yep.
What is lac?
Yes.
I've not
The
heard.
lac is another insect. It's Asian rather than cochineal, which is South American origin, and it's a sort of a substance that's produced by the lac insect, and related to lac, furniture and lacquer and so on. So it's yeah.
Didn't
so it's been used
a red tint. It didn't lacquer. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
So this substance that the insect produces was used in the lacquer. I don't know very much about lacquer, but it was, and it also makes a lovely dye.
Yep. Fantastic. And then we've got two beautiful skeins with different colors throughout. And I'm wondering how you did this.
So I dye these. These are really fun. I like dyeing them. They're a bit of a faff, but they're fun. So I set the skeins out lengthwise, and then just scatter whole dye stuff on the skeins, and then bundle each skein into a wee bundle. And the Culloden, the pinker one, at the bottom of the dye pot in water. So it's and then the sprinkly one, I think, did I call that one Summer Garden? I think. Summer Garden sits on top of the cochineal, so it's actually only steamed. It doesn't come into direct contact with.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible.
So it's quite fun. It's not very precise, because controlling the amount of steam and controlling the depth of the water, and so my Culloden does tend to vary quite a bit from batch to batch, as does sometimes it's Summer Garden or hundreds and thousands. It partly also depends on what Culloden I always do with lac and hibiscus. But the Summer Garden is sometimes hundreds and thousands, and various other things, depending on there's dried flower heads in there and things. So it varies from time. That's kind of mood dependent, that one. But it's really fun.
Really beautiful. And I think this sock yarn is amazing, because not only are you getting breed specific yarn, but you're getting, exactly where it's come from. You can use it in many different applications, and then you've hand dyed it, whether fun like this or, going through exhausting baths to get different shades from plant material that is not just ground down into powder. You're actually using, the dried original plant. It feels like it ticks all the boxes, it's got a lot of really great qualities in it. Very special. And so do you only do this every other year, maybe?
Well, my intention will be to have Killen in stock all the time, hopefully. Right. It's quite difficult to absolutely judge, but that's the intention. But that I would only need to have it spun every couple of years. Right. So that's the plan.
And this is spun at Border Mill, did you say?
So this one goes down to Europa in Yorkshire.
Oh, okay.
So there's various sort of pros and cons with all the different mills, and they're not that there's all that many in Britain. And scouring is a bit of a bottleneck. Okay. The few big mills remaining mostly can't do the scouring themselves, and there's only 2 scourers left in Britain.
Wow.
Then some of the smaller mills can do the scouring.
Right.
So Europe.
For those who don't know, it's okay. Scouring is the washing of the fleece.
Cleaning the fleece, yeah. So when I'm working out what mill to use for what, it's there's a whole load of factors that come into it, partly on how well they spin and what they spin and what batch size they can handle, but also whether they scour, where they are. There's quite a few factors that come into it. So at the moment I'm working with 4 different mills.
So Julie, thank you for sharing so much of what you do and why you do it and where you do it. I think that's really great. I'm sure everyone will enjoy this. Do you want to tell us how people can find you?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Corinne.
Yeah.
It's blackisleyarns.co.uk. So I've been completely quiet on Instagram over the summer. Well, not quiet, just as in totally non-existent. Schools went back today, so I shall probably be popping back up on Instagram again as Black Isle Yarns. And yeah, there's a website, and I love sending yarn out to you. So hopefully we'll keep popping up in the Woolly Thistle.
Yeah. Oh yes, for sure. You're one of our true, you know, we think of you as a real unicorn, and lovely to have you on the books at the Woolly Thistle. We think your yarn is always so well done and very special, and all the history. And you know, selfishly, it just really connects to my heart because, you know, I know Fortroy's in the Black Isle, and it does that thing that we all talk about, which is connecting us to place and to the land and to the culture, and it's just a piece of home for me, which I really, really enjoy. So I will always be asking you, do you have any yarn? So yes, people can get Black Isle yarn from the Woolly Thistle when we have it, and then, you know, definitely check out Julie's website and follow her.